Hello friends, welcome to Byju's classes. In today's session, we are going to discuss about secularization. This topic has been explicitly mentioned in your syllabus under politics and society. So in this session, we'll first understand the concept of secularism, then we will move to the concept of secularization. And since we are discussing sociology paper 2, our focus will be made on the Indian perspective. So we'll look at some of the thinkers, how they view this process of secularization in case of India. So these are the broad things which we are going to cover in today's session. So first thing, what is secularism? Now, as I had told you in the past as well, the way we define religion, the way we talk about religion, it can vary. There are different perspectives, different views related to religion. So same thing applies for secularism as well. Different thinkers will look at secularism from different angles. And we'll see what has been our approach to secularism. So the first view, liberal plural view. That means religion and other institutions, they should be separate from one another. Religion should primarily be a private matter. It should not have any role in the public sphere. And it also promotes religious pluralism. That means within the society, there can be different people having different religious beliefs. They can stay together. Orthodox plural view means some of the proponents of these perspectives, what they feel. They feel that India has always been secular. At all the points of time, India has been secular, so we don't need to do anything about it. Indian society has always been a tolerant society. We have always accepted different kind of religious beliefs. We have always given space to different kind of religious beliefs. So we have that culture of secularism inbuilt in us. So we don't need to do anything. We have always been a tolerant society. So this is another perspective of secularism. Marx, what is his view? Marx feels secularism means there should be disappearance of religion altogether. Now, what kind of secularism is there in Indian society? What kind of secularism has been envisaged by the framers of our constitution? So what does Nehru say about secularism? So secularism, according to Nehru, and also this view was echoed by many of the members of the Constituent Assembly at that point of time. This is how we want our society to be. So according to them, secularism means freedom to individuals to practice any religion. And at the same time, if someone does not want to practice any religion, does not want to subscribe to any particular religious beliefs, that person should also be given freedom. So religion is not being discouraged. Marxist perspective, religion is being discouraged, but here it is not being discouraged. Everyone has the freedom to practice, profess, propagate their own religion. And if you do not have any such religious beliefs, then also you are having the liberty to go on with your own thinking. So this is what is secularism as per Nehru. So these are certain views about secularism. Liberal plural view, separation of religion from other institutions, religious pluralism should be there. Orthodox plural view, they feel that Indian society has always been secular. There was always tolerance. We have accepted different kind of religious beliefs in our society, so our culture was always secular. Marxist view, complete disappearance of religion. Nehru and how our constitution envisages secularism in Indian society, freedom to practice your own religion, freedom to be irreligious as well. Now, one thing, sometimes you might be coming across these terms: Indian model of secularism, Western model of secularism. Now, when you come across these terms, what do they refer to? Now, Western model of secularism, this means that church and the state, they are separate. They're not together. That means religion and state, they are separate. So those who are the religious head and those who are the political head, they are different entities. Religion is something which should be in the private sphere. There is no space for religion in the public sphere. So this kind of model, complete separation of religion from state, that is the Western model of secularism. So if anywhere you come across these terms, Western model of secularism, it refers to that. Indian model of secularism, the state and religion, they need not be completely separate. State might have some role in religion. For example, in case of India, we have the fundamental rights. So state provides the fundamental right that you can practice, profess, propagate any religion. In case of India, the Indian model of secularism, it means that you are equally respecting all religions. There is equal space for all religion. Western model, religion and state are separate. Here, you are equally promoting all religions. That is the Indian model. So all the religions are given equal space and you are equally helping them. So keep this in mind as well. If you get a question, what is the Indian model, what is the Western model? So these things should be in your mind. Now, the Indian secularism that we are talking about, what is the main aim of Indian secularism? And what was the main aim of the Western model of secularism? Now, Indian secularism, two major objectives are there. First thing is, you need to avoid conflicts between religion. Different kind of religious conflicts, government conflicts, religious coming head on, all these things need to be avoided. So our secularism tries to ensure that. At the same time, our secularism also aims at preventing religious communities from overwhelming the state. That means the religious communities, they should not be controlling the state. That is also another aim. Our state is a separate entity, we have democracy, we have universal right franchise, and our state, it is on the basis of our constitution, and constitution is on the basis of legal national principles, modern principles. It is not on the basis of traditional principles like those which are in the religion, in the different religious, like those that are found in religion. So our secularism is aimed at that, aimed at two things. First is avoiding conflicts. Second is preventing religious communities, religion from overwhelming the state. In the West, secularism was a result of the struggle between state and religion. Who should have control over the life of the people? Whether religion should have a say or state should have a say here. So there it was the struggle between the state and religion, and that is leading to separation of state and religion, that is leading to secularism. But in case of India, it is not the case. In case of India, it is primarily an antidote to communalism and fundamentalism. You are trying to prevent religious strife. Communalism. You are preventing religious communities from overwhelming the state. So you are trying to prevent fundamentalism. We already know what is communalism, what is fundamentalism. Communalism means so that society is divided along communal lines, there can be clash between communities. Society is divided along communities. So you are trying to prevent that. So you are trying to prevent communalism. Second thing, religion should not overpower the state. Fundamentalism is that. What is fundamentalism? In fundamentalism, people want to go back to the tenets of the religion. Whatever is mentioned in the sacred text, you are following it. And for enforcing that, you might require political power. So fundamentalists will try to have control over your life, and they can ensure this if they are part of the power structures. So they will try to acquire power, they will become political authority over a period of time, and then they control all aspects of your life. So you are also preventing that. You are preventing religion from overwhelming the state. You are preventing religious conflicts. So for ensuring this, for preventing communalism and fundamentalism, we are going for secularism. In the West, it was the struggle between the religion and the state that leads to secularism. Just refer to French Revolution if you are not able to relate to the same. In world history, you would have studied about French Revolution, how there was a conflict between different states, and finally, how it is related to secularism. So you can have a better understanding through that. So our secularism is primarily Sarva Dharma Sambhava. all religions can exist together peacefully. And our secularism is not dharma nirpekshta, sarva dharma sambhava, rather than dharma nirpekshta. Our state is not disconnected from religion. Rather, state is promoting all religions together. But when we are going for this model of secularism, what can be some of the possible challenges? What possible challenges we have seen? Now, state has given support to different kind of religious activities from time to time. For example, it provides Hajj subsidy to Muslims. Similarly, different kind of subsidies are provided to Sikhs, to Hindus as well, to go to shrines. For example, there are some Sikh shrines on the other side of the border in Pakistan. So again, for that, some subsidies are provided. For Man Sarovar Yatra, there are also subsidies provided to Hindus. So state provides different kind of support. So this is different from the Western model. Apart from that, sometimes state also handles the administration of some of these religious institutions. For example, the Jagannath temple in Puri. So you will have an IS officer who handles the administration over there. So state has been involved in different kind of religious activities. Apart from this, state faces another challenge here. Now, state has a commitment to secularism. It has to promote all religions equally. That is there. But at the same time, we are a democracy. Just remember one of the principles under democracy. In a democracy, you also have to protect the rights of the minority. So on one hand, you are saying you need to promote all religions equally. You should not be discriminating against one religion. You should not be favoring one religion. But at the same time, as a democracy, you have to protect the minorities. Democracy is nothing but the rule of the majority. Always the majority will be at power, will be in power. The majority can take decisions which can go against the interest of the minorities. So minorities' interest also has to be protected. So sometimes it can become difficult to manage both. Equal promotion of all religions, not favoring or discriminating against one religion, but at the same time protecting minorities. So sometimes because of this, allegations are made, minority appeasement. These kind of allegations have been there from time to time. So state is generally in a fix because of this thing. So this is about the different views related to secularism, what kind of secularism we have, how it is different from the Western model of secularism, what is our main aim, what is the main aim of secularism in India, what is the main aim of secularism in the Western countries, what are the challenges that the state faces when it has to ensure secularism in Indian context. The concept of secularization. We already have a rough idea what is the meaning of secularization. We already discussed it in Sociology Paper 1 under Religion and Society. It roughly meant that the role of religious institutions, beliefs, they all decline. The social significance of religious institutions, religious beliefs, they decline over a period of time. For example, the whole of the temple, the whole of the churches, mosques, it is gradually declining. That can point to secularization. Religious beliefs decline. At some point of time, Hindus had to believe that if they're crossing the sea, then they might lose out on religion. Their religious sanctity can decline. But now people keep on moving from one place to another because of jobs, because of leisure, different things. So religious beliefs, the whole of religious beliefs, the same social significance of religious beliefs also decline. Now, secularization, the process of secularization involves two things. It involves a secular society. It involves a secular state. So if you have to become secularized, you have to ensure that you have a secular society, you also have a secular state. Now, what are the meanings of these two things? What is the meaning of a secular state? Secular state means the state is not constitutionally connected to any religious dogma. It is not a theocratic state. For example, Islamic State of Pakistan. The state is connected with a particular religion. So it is not a secular state. So one dimension here, state should not be connected with any religious dogma. The laws that you have, it should be on the basis of some rational humanistic principles. Just look at our constitution. They are on the basis of rational humanistic principles. State does not discriminate either in favor or against any religion. So this is also very important. You should not favor or you should not discriminate against any religion. State provides individual and corporate freedom of religion. So individuals, they are free to practice any religion. Corporate freedom is also there. The religious bodies, they also have the freedom. So these are the components of a secular state. Now, what do we mean by a secular society? In a secular society, social relations are not governed by religious beliefs, and religious institutions lose their significance. Already we know the meaning of this, religious institutions losing their significance. For example, attendance, church attendance, temple attendance, participation in different activities of these institutions, if they are declining, it points to the fact that the society is becoming secular. Another thing, social relations are not governed by religious beliefs. For example, marital alliances are no longer taking place on the basis of religion. Inter-religious marriages, if they are quite prominent, if inter-religious beliefs, they do not have, if there is no such restriction from the side of the society, if inter-religious marriages are taking place, then we can say we are having a secular society. In case of India, inter-religious marriages, are they very common? Are they very frequent? When people are getting married, don't they see religion? Generally, they will look at religion, they will look at caste, they will look at gotra, multiple factors are there. So from this angle, you can analyze Indian society, are we a secular society? There are instances in which people have been killed if they have married across religion. Their own relatives might have killed them if they have married across religions. So social relations, if they're continuing to be governed by religious beliefs, then we are not a secular society. So the process of secularization results in both these two things. It results in creation of a secular state. It results in creation of a secular society. A secular society will have all these dimensions. Secular state will have all these dimensions. State is not a theocratic state. Laws are not on the basis of religion. They are on the basis of they're on the basis of rational humanistic principles. State does not discriminate in favor or against religion. State provides freedom to both individuals as well as corporate religion. Now, what are the factors at play here? We understood what is the secularization process, but what are the factors at play? How secularization can be ensured? First thing, laws. They are important. If you are having a progressive legal system, it can lead towards secularization. In case of India, the different laws that we have, the fundamental rights that we have, right to equality. So religion might discriminate, might create caste-like identities, might create groups, but constitution, law, it recognizes an individual, it recognizes the rights of an individual, it ensures equality. Education, promotion of education also leads to secularization. It gives rational explanation to many issues related to human life. Religion does not give rational explanations. For example, if one person falls sick, religion will give some specific explanation. This person might have been possessed by evil. That is the reason he has fallen sick. So we need to remove the evil. So we have to remove the evil out of this person, evil spirit out of this person. Then only the person's health will be better. This is how religion might explain. But science, technology, education system, modern education system, it will explain in terms of some scientific principle. Maybe this bacteria, maybe because of this virus, maybe because of this parasite, this person has fallen sick. So you have a rational explanation for issues related to human life. Mass education has ensured that this secular mindset is spread widespread. Mass education, everyone has access to education system. Religious traditions also have a bearing on secularization. How? Now, certain kind of religious institutions, certain kind of traditions are there. For example, among Christianity, church system. So there will be hierarchy of churches, and they will be continuously monitoring the religious affairs. So in such a scenario, it will be difficult to bring about secularization because everything is being governed by a particular entity now. So among Protestants, this might not be the case. The whole of church is comparatively loose. So religious traditions also have a bearing. Mystification also has a bearing on secularization. Mystification means the process by which beliefs which belong to the domain of reason are passed on to the domain of unreason. If mystification is more in a society, secularization will be less likely. With growth of science, there has also been a shift towards secularization. How? Now, previously, religion used to explain whatever was happening around us. But science has emerged. Physics, chemistry, biology, astronomy, all these things have developed. Now, the same thing that religion used to explain is being explained by science in rational, empirical ways. So, the role of religion, specifically the cognitive role of religion, has declined significantly. For example, previously, religion will be helping us understand the different weather phenomena. Now also, sometimes if people do not have rain, especially in rural areas, they will go for some sort of religious practices. They will go for sacrifices, yagyas. There was an instance in which people were getting 2 frogs married, so with the hope that God will be happy, God will be satisfied, and rain will be there. So now rain is explained through all these things. The factors for rain are this, as per religious practices, tradition. But science will explain it in different manners. Science will help create technology, like satellite technology, which can predict weather events. And sometimes the technologies can be so advanced that they can also create rain. For example, these dry ices sprinkled in some parts so that rain can be created. Condensation can be created with the help of technology. So previously things were understood from the perspective of religion, and religion was limited. But now, because of advancements in science and technology, the role of this cognitive role of religion has declined. There has been extreme structural differentiation. Previously, religious institution used to play a very significant role, but over a period of time, new kind of institutions have come up, and they are all specialized. So the most significant institution was religion in the past, but now all these other institutions are also relevant. So religion's role to control society has declined because now other institutions have taken up this role as well. So religion is no longer an agent of social control. Multiple other institutions have come up. For example, the different law and order institutions that we see right now in our society. So they are also ensuring social control. It is not religion, not just religion which is ensuring that. Over a period of time, rational ideas have substituted the religious ideas. So all these factors play a very important role when it comes to the process of secularization. So we now saw what are some of the factors of secularization, and we understood what is the secularization process. Now we need to see what is the scenario in case of India. What is the present status when it comes to secularization in India? The first thing, one of the most important factors for secularization was mass education, spread of scientific rational education. Has that been the case in case of India? In India, mass education system has not spread that prominently. Now also around 25% of the population does not have any literacy. 25% of the people are illiterate. But one more thing, when I am saying 75% of our population is literate, that does not necessarily mean they're educated. Literacy and education, again, they can be different. Literacy means only one line you can write. Education is much more than that. So somewhere our education system has also not been able to bring about this change. Apart from this, rationality, is it widespread? Again, that is questionable. Now also our society is marred by different kind of superstitions. Another important thing here, another important point, the transformation that took place from agrarian to industrial society, it took place at a very rapid pace. Now, what will be the consequence of this if things are changing at a very fast rate? Now, I have discussed this thing before as well. See, whenever social change is taking place, if there is change at a rapid pace, now what happens? The material part of the culture will change fast, but non-material part of culture, that just does not change equally fast. If the change is gradual, then the non-material part of culture will also catch up. But whenever there is a rapid change, this thing does not happen, leads to cultural lag. So here also it is the scenario. Our ideas, our rational ideas are not that rational. We have not moved towards logical ideas, but we have adopted new kind of technology. But all this does not mean that secularization is not taking place. It is taking place. Our life goals have become more secular. Previously, our life goals might have been decided by tradition, by religion. Religion says, right, these should be the goals, these are the things you should achieve in your life. Maybe all these things you should do so that you will have a better afterlife. Those things religion says. But many of us won't be focusing on that. Now people will want to have a decent standard of living. They want to acquire wealth. So your life goals are becoming more and more secular. You want to have this college qualification. You want to have this kind of packages. You want to retire by this particular age group. In this particular age. So life goals have become secular. Different kind of magical religious beliefs, they are gradually being replaced by scientific beliefs. Previously, if a person fell sick, maybe they would have taken that person to a tantric. But now all these things are not prevalent. If people fall sick, they are taken to the hospitals. But one issue here is the process of secularization. It has not come from the masses. It has come from the elites. The elites have decided that this is something that we should carry forward with. The Constitution, our Constitution, is an example of this. Now, who were the people who crafted the Constitution? They were people who had studied in some of the most progressive universities world over. That is the reason, even after 70 years of the Constitution being enacted, many of the provisions, principles, people now also can't understand. Constitution talks about equality, but there is inequality in the society. There will be discrimination in the society. So, all these things, preference for a secular state, preference for a secular society, all these things are part of the Constitution. But who created the Constitution? It is the elite. It did not come from the masses. The Constitution tried to bring about social revolution. So this social revolution is coming from the top. But people are not yet modern. Mass education is not yet widespread. Rational mindset is not there. So as a result of which, in India, people have two identity. In India, both secularism as well as revivalism exists. So on one side there is cultural religious revivalism going on, another side there is secularization going on. Both the things are happening. The Constitution, the laws, they will ask you for one thing, but at the grassroots level, this is going on. Now, this dual identity thing, it can be understood with the help of this particular illustration that you can see on the screen. What is the meaning of this illustration, and from where have we got this? Now, can you relate this image to something that you might have studied in your physics or in general science when you were in school? It basically refers to the process of diffraction. You can observe here that a ray of light is passing through the prism and then it gets diffracted into different colors. This thing is called diffraction. Now, this can also be used to study society. In fact, this model was given by a thinker named Riggs, and he's one of the prominent thinkers when it comes to public administration, for understanding administrative behavior, for understanding administration. Sometimes this model is used. The same model can be used for understanding society. Now, what do you observe here? Now, one side you have fused light. It enters the prism and it gets diffracted. Now it gets separated into its individual constituents. So how can we utilize to understand society? Now on one side, we have agrarian society, another side we have industrial society. In agrarian society, you won't have multiple institutions. The most important institution will be the religious institution. Religious institution will control different aspects of our life. But in an industrial society, you will find multiplicity of institutions. So new institutions have come up and they are all specialized in their role, whatever activity they are carrying out. So here, the whole of religion will be strong because it is the most prominent institution, but here the role of religion is going to decrease over a period of time. So in industrial societies, modern societies, religion will not be that significant, multiplicity of institutions will be there. Agrarian society, religion will be important. But what about the scenario here? Now, within the prism, both the things will coexist. Some elements of industrial society, some elements of agricultural society. You have not become completely modern, you have not become completely industrialized. At the same time, you are not completely agrarian as well. Maybe India is in this phase. So there is a shift towards secularization, but at the same time, religious revivalism also exists. So we might be in the prismatic stage. That is the reason we are having dual identity. So both religious revivalism, secularization, both exist together. Now some thinkers have added some more dimension to these perspectives. For example, T.N. Madan, he says that secularization is not that easy. And he gives multiple arguments why secularization is very difficult to obtain. First thing, now what is the meaning of secularization? Secularization means the role of religion should decline. That means marginalization of religious faith should take place. But when there is marginalization of religion, significance of religion will decline. In that scenarios, what happens is there will be some individuals, there will be some group, certain section of the population who will not be in favor of this. There will be a reaction to the marginalization of religion. And that reaction can be in different forms. That reaction can be in the emergence of fundamentalist movements. So there will be some people who will say, no, we have to go back to the tenets of the religion. We have to follow whatever was written in the sacred text. There can be emergence of rightist political or social movements. Right-wing political parties can come. They think that their culture is at threat, their religion is at threat. We have to protect it. So right-wing political parties, social movements can come up. It can also lead to evangelism. The number of people in your communities, they are at threat. Now we need to go for evangelism. Can you think of examples of these things? For example, right-wing political parties or right political movements. Now in Turkey has had a secular state for a very long period of time. But now there also you will find different strands of rightist political movements. At present, the president, he also exhibits this kind of behavior. Fundamentalism. There's a challenge. There can be emergence of fundamentalist identity. For example, the term fundamentalism, it did not emerge in traditional societies. For the first time, we've used the term fundamentalism for American society in the 20th century. So they are moving towards modernization, but they also experience fundamentalism. A very important observation by T.N. Madan here. He says that you will not find any fundamentalist in a traditional society. You will find fundamentalists in a secularizing or a modernizing society. What is the reason? They're going for secularization, they're going for modernization. So there is a reaction, and the reaction takes place in the form of fundamentalism. In a traditional society, those kind of threats are not there, and you will not find fundamentalism. So marginalization of religious faith can lead to different counter reactions, which can be a threat to secularization again. Another observation by T.N. Madan, another very important observation. He says that religions, specifically the religions of South Asia, they have a totalizing character. They control different aspects of your life. And since they control so many aspects of your life, it becomes very difficult to separate religion from politics. For example, just think about Hinduism. Now, your dressing patterns, your food practices, all these things are regulated by religion. For example, beef should not be consumed. So every aspect of a human life is controlled by religion. So religion has a totalizing character. That is the reason it cannot be separated. All of a sudden, on one finding, you cannot say that religion has no significance. Just think about the freedom struggle of India. At that point of time, also we use religion for politics. At different points of time, for example, the Lucknow Pact or non-cooperation movement, you use religion to mobilize people. And all of a sudden, you cannot say that religion is of no use, it is of no significance. So religion, people have been religious in case of India. All aspects of our life, not all, but many of aspects of their life have been governed by religion. So religion and politics, to separate it out becomes difficult. Another observation by Madan. Madan says that religion and politics, you cannot it's very difficult to separate them, specifically when you are having democracy. Religion cannot be restricted to private domain in case of democracy. See, in a democracy, people are given different kind of liberties, people are given different kind of rights. One of the liberties is religious liberty. Now, under that, what comes? It can be individual liberty to worship. It can also be the right to worship collectively. It can also be the right to build places of congregation, that means temples and mosques, churches, etc. You provide all these rights. And when you provide all these rights, the state also has to ensure that these rights are protected. That means they have to ensure law and order for these institutions. In case some issue is there, they also have to provide other services. Let's say there is a fire, they have to provide different kind of state services. So what is happening here is, in democracy, rights are provided, different kind of religious liberty is provided, and state also has to provide some services. So it becomes very difficult to completely separate it out. Maybe in communist countries it is easier, but in democracy it is not that easy. Okay. So T.N. Madan puts forth all these arguments that secularization process is not that easy. If you are moving towards secularization, there will be counterforce. Some religions are totalizing in character, so you cannot separate religion from politics. And religion and politics, it is difficult to separate, specifically in a democracy. You cannot, or restricting religious to private sphere in democracy becomes very, very difficult. Ashish Nandi makes a very, very important observation, very, very relevant for present times. He says that as we are moving in the direction of modernity, communal conflicts are also getting accelerated. So more we move towards modernity, there is acceleration of communal conflict. How can we explain this? Just a few moments back, we were saying that if you have rational principles, if you have rationalization of mindset, if you have mass education, we can go for secularization. But he's saying something else. He's saying as we are moving toward modernity, communal conflicts have increased. What does it mean here? What does he want to say here? See, what he's saying is, we are going forward with modernity, so we are developing science and technology. Now, different technological innovations are being used to promote religious ideas. Different technological innovations are being used to promote religious ideas. Sometimes they're also used to spread hatred. So what is the consequence here? Now, previously, religion was localized. Religious tensions, communal tensions, they were all localized. Now they can easily spread. Now, because of mass media, social media, other forms of media, all these things, religious tensions, communal tensions, all these things can easily spread. And many of the religious institutions now, many of the religions now, they have also taken up all these new forms by which they can directly reach their follower base. Many of the godmen, they have their own personal handle, and they're using these personal Twitter handles to communicate, to interact with their own followers. So Ashish Nandi says that secular education, secular employment has not suppressed communalism. Rather, then previously it was being localized, now it is in larger proportion. Now Smith also talks about secularism, and he tries to find out the extent of secularism. He tries to create a scale by which secularism can be studied. A particular religion, how much secular it is. A particular society, how much secular it is. So for finding all these things, he's creating a scale to measure the extent of secularism. So what are the parameters he's taking into consideration? First parameter, to what extent a religion is prepared to go for internal reforms. If a religion is more prepared to go for internal reforms, then it is more secular. To what extent a religion is prepared to coexist with other religion. If it is ready to coexist with other religion, it is more secular. Extent to which religion is prepared to borrow attributes from other religion and supply its own attributes to other religion. That also decides how much secular the religion is. To what extent state offers egalitarian space to other religion, but at the same time it maintains safe distance from every religion while discharging its secular responsibilities. So this is a factor for the state. To what extent state maintains gives space to every religion, and at the same time, whenever it is carrying out its duties, it is maintaining some minimum amount of distance. So all these factors are very important, and all these factors point to the fact how much secular religion is, how much secular state is. Indirectly, we can say what is the extent of secularization or what is the scope for secularization. So the finding here is the degree of secularism is different in different societies, and he feels that the Hindu society, it is more secular and it is lowest among Muslims, among Islam. So Hindu society is more secular along these lines, and Islamic society is less secular along these lines as per Smith. Apart from the observation of Smith, there are some more observations by some thinkers. For example, Amartya Sen. Now Amartya Sen, he says that the Indian state, the Indian constitution, Indian laws, they are duty bound to protect the secular credentials of the state, and they have to pay equal respect to all religions. If any particular religious community, maybe because of its size, tries to seize the government system through popular mandate, we should have constitutional provisions which can prevent this from happening. So according to Amartya Sen, the constitution, the laws, they are an obstacle to the challenges coming to Indian secularism. So our laws, our constitution, they help protect Indian secularism. Rajiv Bhargava, he says that Indian secularism is not about strict separation between religion and politics. Ours is not the Western model where religion and politics are separated. But in case of India, secularism is about maintaining a principled distance between religion and politics. Some distance is maintained. He feels communal violence definitely offers threat to Indian secularism. But communal violence is not going to destroy Indian secularism. Indian secularism is definitely challenged because of it, but it is not going to be destroyed by it. Bashiruddin Ahmad talks about the experience of Turkey. Turkey had a religious society, but it had a secular state. State is secular, people are religious. So even if there is religious revivalism, the state is strong and it maintains the secular credentials. But in recent times, all these things can also be questioned. In recent times, in Turkey, the state is also moving towards religion, the different policies of the present government over there. So this is an observation by Bashiruddin Ahmad a few years back, may not be completely relevant in present context, because there also the state is now moving towards religion. So these are again certain perspectives about secularism. According to Amartya Sen, our laws and our constitution, it protects secularism. Whatever challenges come to secularism, it is protecting it. Rajiv Bhargava, it is saying our secularism is about principal distance between politics and state. Communal violence is a threat to secularism, but it is not going to destroy it completely. Bashiruddin Ahmad is saying that a secular state, like in Turkey, protects the secular credentials of the state. The state is strongly secular, while the society is religious. So these are again some more perspective. And with this, we also come to the end of the session on secularization. So what all have we learned in this session? First, we understood what is secularism, what are the different perspectives here, liberal view, orthodox view, Marxist view, what was the view of Nehru. Finally, what we are going ahead with. We also understood the difference between the Indian model of secularism, Western model of secularism. Our model of secularism is primarily targeting communalism and fundamentalism. So our secularism is basically an antidote to the processes of communalism and fundamentalism. In West, secularism is emerging as a consequence of struggle between religion and politics. In India, keep in mind, religion and politics, they used to be separated before as well. Generally, the religious head will be someone from Brahmin caste, and generally the political head will be from the Kshatriya caste. Caste-wise segregation was already there. But different challenges are there to the secularism process. We already know about it. We are a democratic society. On one side, we are saying we should maintain distance from all religions. We should equally promote all religions. At the same time, we have to protect the interest of the minorities. So sometimes challenges of minority appeasement comes into place. What is the process of secularization? It involves both a secular society and a secular state. What is the meaning of secular society? What is the meaning of secular state? What are the conditions which are conducive for secularization process? What is our present scenario? How do we fare along these conditions? Okay, so we saw many of the challenges. We looked at the prismatic model. Now, T.N. Madan, what does he say? Is secularization easy or difficult? What are the challenges to secularization process? His three arguments. Then the scale by Smith. What is Ashish Nandi saying? Amartya Sen, Rajiv Bhargava, and Bashiruddin Ahmad. Their perspectives. So all these things will give you a holistic view of the concept of secularization. So whenever you are studying secularization, try to link it with sociology paper 1 secularization discussions as well. So this is about this session. Thank you.